Welcome back to another Star Mini Gaming YouTube video, and this is a video response to Vince's topic of the week, talking about secondary market and out of production models and armies, and do we utilize the secondary markets? Why or why not? And tied into that inevitably is, do out of production armies or models or games kind of scare you off, or do you collect them or whatever? And I wasn't initially going to do this video. I joked with Vince, I don't want the community to turn against me, but I thought, you know what, let's do it. And I'll get to that in a minute on why I say that. But I don't utilize the secondary market hardly ever. You can find good deals on eBay and such on occasion. For myself, the only times that I really ever find what I would consider to truly be a good deal is in incredibly large lots that is more cash than I am going to throw at something or really feel comfortable throwing at something at once. I understand that, in the long haul, like, buying a $200 lot that's full retail value is like $500 is clearly better than, in terms of the amount of money you're spending, is clearly better than, kind of taking that small piece by small piece at a time and paying close to the 500. But for myself, it's a lot of times hard for me to justify to myself spending that much in one lump sum. That being said, the second thing is that as a shop owner, anything that I choose to purchase for myself, I am basically buying it at the cost that GW sells it to me at, which is typically 55 to 65% of full retail. That's standard for just about any shop. There won't be a big fluctuation between that, at least in the U.S. And so very rarely does eBay, even in larger lots, really have deals that I consider enough of a savings for myself compared to what I can already get the models for, to be worth the time and effort of stripping and repainting or converting up or fixing up, someone else's models that they just really haven't necessarily put the time or care into that I want in my models. And to be fair, even if the model's painted better than I can do, it's, I guess, professional pride in that I like to paint my own models. I'm less concerned about having to assemble them all because I enjoy that far less, but regardless of how well painted it is, unless there's a personal friend who painted up the model for me, I would probably never field a model that I didn't myself paint. I'd honestly rather field a gray plastic than that. That being said, that's kind of what I was joking about too, is like, with the community turning against me, is for the budget of Sigmar, I've been building a Vampire Counts Death Army, right? And I've spent very, very, very little, even far less than the 55% of full retail that the things cost me to get, because as a store owner, I get access to what's called product support, which is basically like free product to have, like in-store copies of games or in-store armies that you can demo games or use to help you promote tournaments and things like that. And so I've taken advantage of that. And now, while that's free in the sense that I'm not spending money to build this army, it's certainly not free because my business is still very young. I've only been running it since mid-October. And so the business doesn't support me, I support the business right now, right, from a financial standpoint. So it's still costing me money, but not directly for the models. And so that being said, that's why I don't typically take advantage of the secondary market, because for me there's really no benefit to do so most of the time. Every now and again I might buy something, fix it up, paint it up, and sell it to kind of grow my commission painting services and advertise a little bit more for my shop. But other than that, I hardly ever use the secondary market. And then there's, of course, out of production models that Vince also talked about, and out of production armies. And personally, I have nothing against out of production models or out of production armies. I played the Lord of the Rings game for quite some time, and quite a few of the models that I wanted were out of production at different points. It's not that I didn't play the game when those models were in production, because I've played the game since it was first launched, but maybe I just didn't get around to buying them. Maybe I wasn't interested in the faction at the time that they were in production, so they they went out of production. And with that game especially, and I've seen it to varying degrees in other games, out of production models were highly sought after, and so their value on the secondary market was up to 3 to 4 times, if not even more, what the full retail value had been. One that I really wanted was the Mahud King, which I'll insert a picture of it so you can see it, which was for the Haradrim, which are the guys in the original trilogy, if you've seen it, that ride the elephants, right? And the Mahud King went out of production relatively quick. It had a pretty short lifespan, but it was a well-liked model. Lots of people liked the Mahud, even though there's not very much of their models left in terms of like being in production. They were never really a fully fleshed out army. They were just a sub-faction, but a lot of people liked their aesthetic. A lot of people liked, honestly, the way they played in the game. They were somewhat unique, and they brought something very, very much needed, I feel like, to that army, especially when they first came out, that they were part of. And so the Mahud King, for example, you even nowadays can't hardly find him for less than about $70 US, which when the model first came out, he was about $20. And that $70 is on the lower end of what you'll find. You'll quite often find it higher than that. Also, the Bat Swarms from Lord of the Rings, which are really popular not only for the Lord of the Rings game because they are a very effective support unit, but also they're used, of course, for Age of Sigmar and Warhammer and Ninth Age and the like. And so, you have multiple game systems, or players of multiple game systems buying them for use in their systems. So that particular unit, it's hard to find for less than 100. I do own a Bat Swarm, and I do own a Mahud King, both of which I was able to actually acquire via trades, not via purchasing on eBay or anything, because those prices are ridiculous, and I refuse to pay 5 to 6 times original retail value for something. If it's a really rare model that I really want, maybe I'll go like 1.5 to 2, but never more than that. Just purely on there's nothing that I want that much, right? And if you wait around, eventually you can typically find those models at much more reasonable deals if you really scour the internet for it. But that being said, that's all I've really got on those. Like, I don't use secondary markets because I don't really need it, and I'm not against out of production models. I don't mind spending the time to collect them or whatever. The only thing that's ever really scared me away is whenever the price is marked up. If the price is lower, then absolutely, like, I'm all for it. But again, it still has to be worth my time and my money, which is less common for me to find that than I would assume most people. But until next time, this is James, and happy gaming.